Hello and welcome back to my channel Dinar and Dong Updates. The Iraqi dinar and global tensions. What investors need to know. In the world of finance and international investments, few topics are drawing as much curiosity and speculation as the future of the Iraqi dinar. But to understand where it might be headed, we have to start by looking at the broader geopolitical landscape, especially recent developments involving Iran and the growing tensions across the Middle East. Rising tensions with Iran. A global ripple effect. Recently, Iran has taken a bold stance in response to perceived threats from the United States. The Iranian Foreign Ministry officially summoned a Swiss diplomat in Tehran. Switzerland often acts as a go-between for Iran and the US to deliver a stern message. Iran's warning was unambiguous. Any threat will be met with an immediate and forceful response. This is no small matter. Iran's latest move represents a significant escalation in regional hostilities. While conflicts and power plays in the Middle East are unfortunately nothing new, the implications of this latest standoff go far beyond regional politics. Global investors are watching closely, because instability in this part of the world can have far-reaching effects, especially on oil prices, currency values, and investor confidence in nearby countries like Iraq. A shifting financial landscape in Iraq. While Iran's actions are dominating headlines, Iraq has been quietly working to transform its financial system. After years of economic turmoil, political challenges, and war, Iraq is now taking steps to stabilize and modernize its economy. One of the latest initiatives to emerge is Iraq's Raflak financial literacy campaign. This 2-month-long campaign aims to educate Iraqi citizens on personal finance, banking, and the broader economy. It might not sound revolutionary at first glance, but financial literacy is a key component in building a strong and resilient economic foundation. In countries where citizens understand how to manage their money, trust the banking system, and engage in the formal economy, currencies tend to perform better, and economies grow more sustainably. Why the campaign matters. Some observers have asked, why does it need to take 2 months? Why not launch the reforms immediately? But the answer is clear. Education takes time. A rushed campaign might raise awareness, but it won't create the lasting understanding that Iraq needs. The Raflak campaign could help change how people engage with the economy and improve their financial decision-making skills, which in turn can boost economic activity and strengthen the currency. Iraq's push for economic stability. Despite facing many obstacles, from political unrest and corruption to fluctuating oil revenues, Iraq's government has been gradually pushing for economic stability. There's a growing recognition within the country's leadership that Iraq cannot continue to rely solely on oil exports. Diversifying the economy, rebuilding infrastructure, and strengthening the financial system are all part of a broader vision for long-term recovery. Encouragingly, some early signs suggest that these efforts are beginning to pay off. Inflation has been relatively under control. The Central Bank of Iraq has been improving its monetary policies, and there's a renewed focus on rebuilding trust in the financial system. All of this bodes well for the future of the Iraqi dinar. The Iraqi dinar. Past struggles, future potential. The Iraqi dinar, IQD, has had a rocky history. Once a relatively stable and respected currency in the region, it suffered a dramatic fall from grace during years of sanctions, war, and mismanagement. For many investors, particularly those outside Iraq, the dinar has become a symbol of speculative opportunity. Some have bought in, hoping for a significant revaluation, while others remain skeptical of its long-term prospects. The key question today is, what's next for the dinar? The deleting zeros plan. What it means. One of the most talked about proposals in Iraq's economic reform plan is the idea of deleting the zeros from its currency. This plan would remove 3 zeros from the current banknotes. So, for example, a 10,000 IQD note would become a 10 IQD note. On the surface, this sounds like a simple adjustment, merely a redenomination, not a change in real value. But this kind of change can significantly impact how people perceive the currency. For some, it may be seen as a signal that the government is serious about tackling inflation and reforming the economy. For others, especially foreign investors, it could raise concerns about potential losses or confusion during the transition. Could it affect your investments? That's the big question. If you've invested in the Iraqi dinar, a currency reform could go either way. On one hand, redenominating the currency could increase confidence in the dinar's future and lay the groundwork for a more stable financial system. On the other hand, if not managed properly, it could lead to panic, misunderstanding, and a loss of investor trust. What many experts argue is that the smarter, less disruptive path would be to revalue the currency instead of simply removing zeros. Revaluing means adjusting the exchange rate so that each dinar is worth more in relation to other currencies, without changing the physical notes themselves. This strategy was used successfully by Kuwait in the early 1990s. After the Gulf War, Kuwait revalued its currency to restore economic stability and investor confidence. It worked well because it avoided the confusion and mistrust that can accompany more drastic changes like redenomination. Why revaluation might be the better option for investors? A revaluation is generally less risky than removing zeros. It allows the value of existing holdings to rise without requiring a complete overhaul of the currency system. And perhaps more importantly, it sends a strong message that the government believes in the strength of its economy and its currency. A well-executed revaluation could increase both domestic and international confidence in the dinar. It would also help Iraq re-establish its currency in the global market, making it more appealing for foreign investors, trade partners, and financial institutions. Timing is everything. Could big changes be coming soon? There's a lot of speculation that major changes might be on the horizon. Some sources suggest that early April could be a critical period for developments in Iraq's financial strategy. Whether or not those predictions are accurate remains to be seen. But what's clear is that we are approaching a period of potential transition. That's why it's more important than ever to monitor key economic indicators. Watch for changes in inflation, interest rates, and employment numbers. Stay alert to international developments, especially trade deals, political shifts, and announcements from the Central Bank of Iraq. Do you need to wait for global currency changes first? One common misconception among investors is that a global revaluation must occur before any individual currency, like the dinar, can appreciate. That's simply not true. Currency markets are interlinked, yes, but each country can and does make independent decisions about its monetary policy and exchange rates. A change in the value of the US dollar or another major currency can influence the dinar, but Iraq can still act independently to strengthen its own financial position. Diversification, your best defense. As with any investment, putting all your funds into a single asset, especially one as volatile as a foreign currency, can be risky. That's why financial experts always recommend diversification. Spread your investments across different assets, stable currencies, emerging market currencies, stocks, bonds, commodities, and even digital assets. A friend of mine once invested in a lesser-known currency that appreciated following a surprise economic announcement. Because they were prepared, they were able to quickly exchange their holdings for a nice profit. Stories like this aren't just lucky breaks, they're examples of proactive, informed investing. The bigger picture, a global economy in transition. Around the world, countries are recovering from economic shocks, supply chain disruptions, and inflation spikes. As central banks stabilize their policies and governments push for growth, we're starting to see the early signs of a new global economic phase. This environment could be fertile ground for currency adjustments, especially in nations that are actively reforming their economies, like Iraq. But success won't come from waiting around for the perfect moment. Investors who stay informed, adaptable, and proactive will have the best chance to benefit from any upcoming shifts. Final thoughts. Be prepared, not just hopeful. The potential revaluation or redenomination of the Iraqi dinar is a major topic in the financial world, but it's just one part of a much bigger picture. Iraq is making real progress toward economic recovery. Yes, there are challenges, but there is also real potential. If you're holding Iraqi dinar or considering getting involved, now is the time to ensure you have a strategy. Understand the risks, do your research, and stay updated with reliable news sources. Above all, remember that preparation is key. Don't wait until changes are announced to start thinking about your next move. Whether you're an experienced investor or just starting to explore global currencies, the knowledge you gain now can help you make smarter decisions in the future.